family viewing.
Hello and welcome to Kikao, your weekly authoritative program on Africa's agriculture. My name is Joe Ageyo. This week we focus on a subject that evokes fear in some people, but in others, opportunities. We are talking about genetically modified organisms or products better known as GMOs. Why are they so controversial in parts of Africa? And what ought the continent to do with them? We'll be hearing from our eminent panel in just a few moments, but first, here is the scene setter.
People tend to shy away from new technologies, come with lots of excuses. Today you'll hear that, oh, I'm a Puritan, okay? I'm a very religious person. I don't understand the dynamics. Where is it going to take us? People still have nightmares. Have people failed from sleeping? Don't people sleep? If you want to get rid of nightmares, don't sleep then. For how long are we going to have these sentiments without us addressing it?
Let's now get some real answers to the many questions that people ask around the continent from our eminent panel of experts. And for this, we join Dr. Canisius Kanangire, the Executive Director of AATF.
For many years, humans have used traditional breeding methods such as selective breeding and crossbreeding to get desirable traits in plants and animals. But scientists are constantly developing new ways to create new varieties of crops and animals. Genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, have become a common term consumers and popular media use to describe foods that have been created through genetic engineering. The release of GM products starting in the 90s was followed by an onslaught of information from varied sources about the relative merits and demerits of the technology. Newer to the agricultural biotechnology space is gene editing, adding yet another term and even more complexity to a field already brimming with misperceptions and misinformation. As these technologies become more widespread, so too does the necessity of understanding them in detail so that decisions can be informed by truth and not manipulated by fear. So, what exactly are GMOs? How widespread are their use around the world? Are they safe? Are they needed and useful? On this episode of Kikao series, we will seek to demystify GMOs, their regulation and application in improving agricultural productivity. I am your host, Dr. Canisius Kanangire, Executive Director of AATF, and my guests today are Dr. Roy Mugira, Acting CEO, National Biosafety Authority, Kenya, and Professor Mohamed Ishaku, Executive Director and CEO, Institute for Agricultural Research, Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria, Nigeria. You are welcome, sirs.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you for hosting us.
The term GMOs have been on every lips in Africa, elsewhere, for many years, for 2 decades almost. What is, in simple terms, GMO? What does it mean?
GMOs are varieties of crops and animals that have been developed by adding to them characters that are not found amongst their relatives, but are taken outside their relatives in order to improve their productivity.
In traditional breeding that you have mentioned, you are able to move genes from one organism to another through crossing. This can only happen between the same organism, maize to maize. It became possible to move genes from unrelated. So what breeders have always done is to cross one parent with another in the hope that the offspring will carry the good character from here and the good character from here. That takes a long time because it is also dependent on chance. It became possible for scientists after DNA was sequenced to pick very specific gene and move it into the crop or plant of interest. And therefore, it became possible even to move across species so that you can pick a gene from a carrot and put it in rice, to make rice produce vitamin A, and therefore have what we have been referring to as golden rice.
What is it that we, ordinary people, should know about a GMO product?
GMOs are not any different from any improved variety or strain of animals developed, except that they have gotten an increased capacity to provide for humans services such as resistance to drought, resistance to disease, increase in the number, in the quantity of say, sugar produced or oil produced in the plant and so on. And that we need to know that they are not any different from that which we have been using before, except for the additional advantage that they can provide more for the farmer and also for the consumer for his own benefit.
So is GMO product safe for the environment and safe for human consumption?
To put it in a blanket, that all are safe, all are safe for the environment and health may be a bit misleading. But it is useful to pick an example and also to check on what are the measures that are taken to ensure safety. The global community, after realizing that possibility, asked the same question: is this now safe for my health, for the health of the animals, for the environment? And therefore the international community negotiated a protocol that would govern how do we manage this new technology. And that is the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety, which is anchored under the Convention on Biological Diversity. And basically this addresses safety, which is what you have put through. So individual state parties, countries now went and did their laws and established their institutions, like the Biosafety Authority that I had in Kenya, to ensure and assure safety. Now, let's deal with an example so that it becomes clear.
Yes.
We have just approved BT cotton in Kenya. This is cotton that is genetically modified to resist the cotton bollworm, the worm that destroys cotton.
Yes.
Now, BT, we need also to say what that one is. Probably it is coming later in our discussion, but a lot of people think it is biotech cotton. That is not the case. It is derived from a bacteria that is resident in the soil called Bacillus thuringiensis. Now, what happened, if we go even, we also have BT maize, which is coming up, which has also been commercialized elsewhere, including Nigeria. Farmers realized that their maize is getting destroyed by the stalk borer. So they would scoop some soil and put on the funnels of the maize. It helped. So then scientists asked, what is it in the soil that is bringing this? The first suspicion was that is suffocation. So the borers are being suffocated inside the funnel and therefore they die. But when they examined, they saw, no, this death is not just suffocation. There must be something. And that is when scientists now identified a bacteria in the soil, the Bacillus thuringiensis, and therefore BT, that produces a protein which is the one that is responsible for the deaths that were being observed. Now they went a step further, established this is the protein, a step further, and established the gene that makes this protein. Now they said, why don't we put this gene in maize, in cotton, in cowpea, so that the maize can make that protein itself.
Yes.
And
fight
and protect itself.
Fantastic. That is very good. I think we understand now the technology itself and the BT idea of it. We will take a short break.
I trust Sunlight 2-in-1 washing powder to give my clothes a sensational clean and an uplifting fragrance.
Okay, bye-bye.
Sunlight. More than you expect.
Show off your best skin with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Body Lotion with 5-in-1 complete care. The deeply nourishing formula prevents your skin from drying with precious cocoa butter and deep moisture for smooth and healthy looking skin.
The moment I feel my pain starting to fade, it's like I'm going back to myself on a really good day.
Panadol Extra releases you from strong pain. Panadol, release starts here.
It's Butta's birthday month, and you can enjoy free shopping of up to 500 bob. Offer starts at 2,499 only. Visit your nearest Butta store today.
Wateja huprefer stock zangu juu ziko tayari kuvaliwa pap lakini vile hii ekonomi imetufinya, ilinibidi kubadilisha sabuni nikatumia ingine rahisi. Bala, ilibidi nioshe kila kitu mara mbili. Sikuwa na otherwise, nikarudia Ariel. Mi hupata clean and fresh results kwa mwosho mmoja tu. Ariel ndio siri yangu. Sasa stoli yangu iko popular sana.
Ariel, usafi bora kwa mwosho mmoja tu.
Following the gazettement of Two Rivers as a private, services-focused special economic zone, the first one of the kind in Kenya, there is no better time to own a home at Two Rivers than now. Text the word Cascadia to 22365.
Welcome back to the Kikao session. Yeah, when I was listening to Roy, I saw Professor Ishaku like burning to have some contribution on the safety of these GMOs, on environment, on human consumption, on other animals, if they are fed on BT products. Please take some time and share with us.
I suspect our viewers will want to know what is it that is used to arrive at the safety? What are those things that you will say? Ordinarily, if it is food, you think of it, whether is it a poison? Can it kill someone? Or can it cause some stomach discomfort or of any sort? And for the environment, is it that when you plant it, it is going to overcome everything else in the place and dominate everything around? Or is it going to remain forever and become like a big tree instead of a piece of maize or so?
A monster.
Those are the kinds of considerations that the safety is referring to. First of all, poisons are known. They have their similarities. There are chemical compounds food scientists have known. Those that cause itching and discomfort for human beings are called allergens. Those are things that cause reactions. So before the safety dossier is developed and the conclusion is safe, it must be found to be that it doesn't have anything that is poisonous or anything that can cause stomach problem for human beings or animals. And then if it is planted, it is going to behave just like its own ordinary counterpart. And if it is used as food, it is going to test and have the same chemical composition as its own conventional food. That is the only time when it is going to be regarded as being safe.
What are those regulatory frameworks that we need to have GM products available?
The intention is such that all concerns that humans may have all over the world would have been answered by attaining this level of regulation and control, such that now every one of us walk into an airplane and then being flown all over the world without even thinking about it. Because the regulatory regime that was put in place to ensure our safety has even removed this concern for us. And I'm sure what Roy and his colleagues are doing are eventually going to put Kenyans into the understanding that there is no longer anything to get concerned about in GMOs.
Now, another question that we have is, does Africa has the capacity to manage GM products, to manage GM technology? Do we have that capacity?
In Africa, we have the capacity. And that capacity was documented by Kalisas Juma when he published his book on the freedom to innovate. That is very well documented. We have the capacity, we have the regulatory ability to do that which needs to be done. So when we are saying this is safe, farmer can grow, consumer can feed, it is indeed safe.
You talked of maize, BT cotton, BT cowpea. Tell me, Professor, do we have other crops where GM technology has been applied in Africa and across the world?
There are several other places. For example, in soybean, the soybean GM technology has been applied in soybean to make weed control easier for the farmer, and also in cassava to increase the amount of vitamin A and some essential minerals in it, and sweet potato also. Sorghum has also been enriched in terms of its nutritive potential to increase it in zinc concentration and iron.
Capacity is key. Now, I think what I will say is, how is it communicated to different stakeholders that from the farm where we know that there is these issues to the researchers where they will produce that solution to the biosafety authorities to say, now we are sure it is good, and then go back to the farm, now go and use it. I think that is an area where we need to work. Do you have some?
Yes, the issue is on perception. And I want to admit, as a scientist, as an expert in this area, and even as a head of an institution in Kenya, this is an area we have not done very well. The area of communicating it, the area of making it an everyday street conversation. That has not happened. And in fact, this kind of engagement, where we can ask questions without making reference to slides and PowerPoint presentations, is a perfect way of getting these messages out there. Do we even receive feedback from our clients when they interact with this technology? That is I think, the weakest point in our...
I think that is very important, and the question was asked deliberately, because if it is so safe, why on the other side people are still jittery when you talk of GMO?
That's right.
I think I will ask our colleagues from the media to help us break the walls of the communication and let that science, that assurance, and that seriousness go down to the consumers, go down to the farmers, go down to the decision makers, so that they know that there is no reason for fear. We have our researchers, we have our regulators who are working seriously on this area. I think when we come back, we take a break, and when we come back, we look now at the farmers' level. What is it that they are thinking about all these technologies?
Yes.
Welcome back to the Kikao session.
Thank you.
Yeah. We were talking of how GM product can address some issues, and I know there are many at the level of the farmers. What is their perception on GM product? Are they willing to plant GM seed, for example?
Farmers are very clever. They are business-minded people. The new variety, once provides solution to their problem, they grab it and nobody can stop them from using it. Farmers all over the world, government might have its own regulations and so on, but if a farmer gets attracted due to the productivity and the benefits he is going to get from a new variety, whether it is GM or not GM, farmers don't care. They are looking for solutions to their problem. That lends the credence to the fact that our policymakers need to become more accountable to the need of the farmers, rather than going by some flimsy perceptions being peddled around by those people who do not even know what agriculture is in the first place.
We took farmers to a confined field trial of cotton in some central Kenya location place, and we took them round. This is the BT cotton, this is the conventional, you can see, and we went round. They almost took the seeds by force. They said, give us this one, we have already seen, so what are you waiting for? And we're telling them, wait, hold on, we still have some stages. Then they couldn't understand why we are not giving them the seed. The other day, we met farmers from Northlift in Kenya, and we were basically telling them there is the BT technology that is coming, which will help us address the issue of the stem borer, and they challenged us. Bring to us also that which will address the fall armyworm.
Yes.
And also go and do that science. Bring to us that which will make nitrogen, you know, maize that can make
fertilizer.
Yes, for fertilizer. Yes. So that they can reduce the investments in fertilizer. So like Prof is saying, once the farmers see that this is addressing our problem, they are ready to go.
Obviously, this biotechnology is bringing solutions to the main challenges. Obviously, the farmers need it. What can we do to enhance the adoption and use of this technology in many countries on the continent?
We need to put more effort in exhibiting the technology practically, in both on the farm and also on the table for people to see. If any Kenyans or Nigerians or any African for that matter had traveled to places like Brazil, Argentina, United States of America, China, and so on, if they had eaten sweet corn, for example, sweet melon, and so on and so forth, they would have eaten GM varieties of these ones. They would have been thanking their tongue for tasting that, because they are so tasty, sweet, and so on. So without knowing it, in those countries, they have gone beyond that level of doubt and rumor peddling about this technology. It has become part of their diet. So here, we need to invest more in creating awareness, in disabusing the minds of the public, most especially by those people who present themselves as experts in this area while they are novices. A professor can be a professor in a particular area, but he might not know exactly the subject matter under discussion. Yes. And if he or she opens her mouth to the public and then musters the reaction of members of the public, our policymakers shake without taking any change.
Colleagues, Professor Ishaku, Dr. Roy Mugira, yes, I want to thank you very much, and I want to take this opportunity to also thank our viewers for their attention. I invite you to the next Kikao session. Goodbye for now.
Thank you very much for.
And now to our science terminology of the week on Science Speak. This week, the word is biological control. This is a method of controlling pests and diseases using other organisms. For example, the introduction of a particular species of birds into an area to control locusts. All right, what a revealing conversation that was, separating fact from fiction. So yes, GMOs may not be the silver bullet, or at least not the only one on the African continent, but they're definitely part of the toolkit needed to tackle the question of food security on the continent and other applications. My name is Joe Agayo. This conversation can only go on. Thank you for watching Kikao.